Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Dirty and Driven Podcast. My name is James Deviney. I'm your host on this fine, beautiful Tuesday episode that we're recording on a Sunday morning. I'm joined, as per usual, by my boy, my dog, the talent, Casey D.
How are you?
Thought you were just going to leave me hanging for a minute, as per usual. Dramatic pause. This is the Dirty and Driven Podcast, where we bring people to the blue-collar world, teach them how to kick ass. We want to gain, train, and retain solid people in the blue-collar world. We do that through the method of entertain. But our whole goal here, guys, is just to help the blue-collar man. You know, we want everybody to just live the best life that they can. So this is for the people out there that, you know, you work your blue-collar jobs, you work in your regular life, you're just a regular human like any of us, but you strive for more. So that's the kind of people we're talking to, or maybe you just want to be like that and you're not there yet. That's what we are here for. With that being said, Casey, what's new in your world?
Enjoying the cooler temps temporarily.
Yeah, it's 95 degrees instead of 105.
Yeah. Well, we're in the 80s, actually.
Is it?
When we're recording, the highs are going to be in the 80s.
Oh, that's cool.
But I saw at the end of this next week, come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's back in the old triple Ds.
Yeah, dude. Triple Ds.
But can't complain because fortunately, where we're at, we've had a milder.
Mostly mild summer other than the last week. I mean, this last week was brutal. Really the last 2 weeks, but
I dealt with...
Overall, pretty nice.
I dealt with the brutalness a few days ago, man. Had worked most of the day, and then I went and finished up some spray jobs. And the spraying job that I was doing, and I'm big on the electrolytes and the water and stuff.
Yeah.
I got behind the damn 8-ball on it. And where I was spraying, it was these retention ponds for the wastewater for the city. And spraying those, I'm walking on riprap to where it's probably about a 45-degree angle where there's different size rocks and stuff. And I'm literally walking down by the shoreline and just kind of hitting stuff all around. Well, each step that you take, you're firing different muscles, stabilizer muscles that I never train or use because it's just, you can't, I mean, unless if I like really train, it's a weird, awkward deal.
After the weighted spraying one, just like 1, 2.
Yeah, well, and walking on flat ground, it's one thing, but when you're doing this weird in your cap and your flexion and you hit extension, all this, and then you're dragging a hose and then rocks slide out from underneath your feet. And then it's hot as balls and it's already humid out, but you're creating humidity by spraying because you're spraying water. So you're creating to the moisture in the air. So then you're sweating big time. I started feeling the old twinge, and whenever I feel the old twinge, like in the calf muscle or the forearm, I know that crap, dude, here comes the cramps, and I still have a job to finish. So then I try to start down in more electrolytes and water. And I had to stop a few times because of just the exhaustion. I mean, it was one of those I really had to kind of reel her in.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, I finished, chugged some more, got home, ate, and went to lay down for a sec. This is like at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And I thought everything was good. I laid down, and about 30 minutes of laying down, the inside part of my thigh, like just inside above the knee, there was this deep muscle. I was laying still, but the inside part of my thigh deep started to cramp out of nowhere. And holy crap, dude, when you get the massive cramps like that are just god awful, you don't know. And the kicker is when you start cramping, first thing to do is you want to stretch it, you want to fight it, but if you fight it too hard, it
just gets worse.
But you're flexing other muscles to compensate for that muscle. So when you're already at that state of cramping, when you're flexing other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then the other muscles that you're cramping, your body is already at the cramping stage that all muscles are going to cramp.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful on fighting it this way to counteract it, or that's going to cramp. So, dude, it took me 30 or 45 minutes to get that crap under control, man. I mean, I immediately chugged another element, chugged another 2 waters. I mean, and then I finally got to a spot to where I was comfortable. Okay, don't move, don't engage any muscle, just come on. And I finally was able to grab a hold of it.
Yeah.
So long-winded deal about the temperatures and stuff, man. If you get behind that and you're in the cramping stage, dude.
Yeah, you got to stay on top of it. That's like yesterday I ran the Dirty and Driven triathlon, and dude, I had so many electrolytes for that. I mean, typically on a training run or something, I'll do like 2 element packets, or I'll use the Ultraformance by First Form. And, sometimes I'll mix them together. I'll do the Ultraformance with First Form because I like how much they got on like magnesium, potassium, all that. But dude, Element, just the amount of salt they have in there really helps. So I'll actually mix the 2 together if I'm really running hard, because that Ultraformance has carbs in it. So it's really great for if I'm running and stuff like that. Element just makes me, I haven't found anything that works better than Element, but yeah, I had a lot of that stuff yesterday while doing that, because it's just, what's been hard about this heat lately is typically whenever it's 105, 110 degrees here where we live, it's usually after a pretty long dry spell and it's dry. But dude, it was like 105, 110 and just humid. I mean, it's just crazy. Even like at 8 in the morning, hell, even before the sun even comes up at like 6 in the morning, it's like 85 and just thick humidity.
Yeah.
And it's pretty brutal. Even
that's a lot
that time.
It's a lot tougher to, especially doing what you're doing also, is it's a lot tougher to get the right amount of oxygen in your lungs when you're breathing in this just thick air.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I'm going to touch more on that triathlon here in a minute. I got other stuff that I want to talk about first, but
we'll talk about that on another podcast, but we need to stick on topic here.
It's part of the topic.
but back to my cramping deal on the hot thing. What's tough is, and this is for anybody out there, that not knowing if you know what your workload is going to be like, maybe the next day or even in the morning of the day of, try to prepare yourself right. One thing that I didn't do the other day was I wasn't hungry, so I didn't eat till noon, 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I had nothing in my body. It was strictly just off of, fluids and stuff. And I don't know if that was a contributing factor, but plus I didn't know I was going to sweat and work my muscles as hard as I did that day. Yeah. So I was behind the 8 ball big time, man.
Mm-hmm. So I had a listener submit a kind of a funny question to me. And shout out Lisa Stewart. She is somebody that I would have never pegged. She'll hit us up every now and then on Instagram and like ask a random question. It's just one of those people that I'm like, wait, you listen to the show? That's cool. So she hits me up the other day and she said, hey, what's the melting point of asphalt? And I was like, in what context? I said, like a roadway, raw asphalt oil, a driveway. Like in my head, I'm thinking, oh, maybe she's got an old asphalt driveway and it's starting to fall apart because of the high heat or something like that. Kind of a common question. Sometimes whenever it gets really hot, the mail truck will turn around on someone's driveway or something like that and kind of scar it up. She goes, I'm talking about the Maui wildfires. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. She goes, the asphalt didn't melt, but everything else did. # conspiracy theorist. So I do want to say, just because we get fires around here too. I mean, field fires, controlled burns, or just wildfires that go off and get really close to the road. So asphalt is typically made around 350 degrees if it's hot mix. If it's warm mix, it's less, but there's an additive in it. But I'm not going to go into all those specifics. But basically, 300, 350 degrees is kind of where it's going to really be malleable enough to work it. Like you can mix
where it flows.
Yeah, where it flows. Yeah. You can rake it. You can, but the true melting point's probably even a little bit hotter, but
So it goes from a solid state to a almost liquid state where you can work it at that, right? It transitions.
ish. I mean, asphalt's not a solid, obviously. I mean, you work around that type of materials with your job.
In the right conditions, it's a solid. And in the right conditions, it can be a gas too if you get it hot enough.
Yeah, it's a solid-ish. I
could talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah, it's a flexible pavement, so it's never truly a solid. I mean, like concrete is a solid, asphalt's a flexible paving. I mean, well, anyways. So for a fire to really melt the asphalt, now if it's right up next to the asphalt, it can maybe scar it up. Like, okay, recently, you probably heard about, there's two things that you can see on some brand new asphalt paving or within the last year and a half, up by Perry, Oklahoma. There was a car that got on the off. Yeah, they got on the off ramp. And so they were driving in the left lane. It was an old lady. She was driving in the left lane of I-35 and she got in a full speed head on collision and her car caught on fire, obviously. And it got super hot and it kind of scars up the asphalt a little bit, but I mean, that's gasoline burning. And it was like, you can see where the car was, but it didn't ruin the road. I mean, structurally it's still fine. The integrity of the road's fine. It's just cosmetic. And then did you hear about that big pile up, I guess last year sometime, whenever it was a bunch of semis and an RV and there was a wildfire in the field next door to the highway, or right next, butted up to the highway, and it smoked out.
Was it somewhere north?
No, it was actually by Billings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Billings, Oklahoma, not Montana, contrary to popular belief. Population about 5. Sorry, 50.
Oh, yeah, dude, I remember it. Yeah.
So I told the story about it on the show before. It was whenever I had James Bernash on an older episode. Our road crew was working just in the perfect mile section where they detoured I-35. And so our road crew's sitting there one way, one lane at a time, just flopping traffic. And all of I-35 came down on them on this like county highway. And now all of a sudden, everybody in America is trying to go through our job site. Tough times. But anyways, there was a huge fire there too. And I mean, it was like 5 semis burned, a camper, cars. I mean, just huge, nasty fire. People died. It was a bad time. But all that caught on fire. Well, firefighters came out. I mean, dude, they had Perry Fire Department, Ponca Fire Department, rural fire departments. I mean, even the refinery was talking about sending their fire crews out there to help fight it. I mean, there was a lot of firefighters out there, and they finally just said, screw it, let it burn, because we can't fight this. It was just diesel fuel everywhere, and it just sat on that asphalt, and it burned for hours. I mean, it burned probably almost 24 hours. They had that highway shut down, or that stretch of highway. So it didn't ruin the asphalt either. I mean, again, you can kind of see where it was, but it didn't. It's got to be really hot to melt a road. Now, if you drove through Maui and you see like spots where the fire was really hot and heavy right there, and like if cars or equipment were on it, it probably scarred it up. Like if you, for example, they were fighting it with dozers and, water trucks and things like that. Like if you got a dozer on that, it's going to leave tracks, especially just the fact like those steel tracks are going to mark that up. That's going to happen even if on a cooler road. Those steel tracks are pretty hell on asphalt. Or if a water truck's on there maneuvering a bunch, his tires probably marked it up a little bit. But just to qualm your conspiracy theory self, the asphalt probably wouldn't have melted from those fires. So that's all I have on that.
I'm sure, like with anything, if the fire would have been, this is me being my typical dumbass self, if the fire would have been there for an extended amount of time and then somebody would have driven immediately after, then yeah, it probably would have just underneath the tracks or the tires. But just imagine superheating for a little bit, and then once the heat is gone, then it goes back to ambient temperature and it's back to itself. And plus, I don't know what type of chemical reaction asphalt is made with when it's all put together and glued together and compacted together, but I'm sure that probably helps the longevity of it too, from just melting to a pile of poo and, flowing like lava.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I mean, because you'd have to heat it up all the way through, and you'd have to get from, let's say your typical roadway. Now, I don't know what it is in Hawaii. Everybody's got different specs, but if it's a high traffic roadway, you're going to have 8 to 12 inches of asphalt on there. If it's a low traffic roadway, you're probably looking at maybe 5 to 6. You'd have to heat up that whole shebang at 350 for it to even start getting to that point. Like 350 is like, it's a solid state. You put it in the paver, you can rake it and shovel it, but like it's workable, but it's still like you put it down, you hit it with the roller, it's laid down, so it would have to be probably upwards of like 400 to 500 degrees all the way through for it to really just melt the roads away. Now, I don't know any true science on that. I'm just guessing that 400 to 500 degrees, but it'd have to be really, really hot for it to start melting it.
Yeah, everything is dependent on temperature and pressure.
Yeah.
And I realize that out where I work, with the energy company here. Here's kind of a cool thing. This is stuff that I didn't pay attention to when I was a kid, but I actually deal with it where I work. But you have your solid liquids and gases, right? Everything can be a solid liquid and gas.
Yeah.
Depending on the right factors. But everything is pretty much dependent on temperature and pressure. So check this out. Take propane like you would use either to heat your home or, water heater or to cook on. Take propane at ambient temperature, whatever this temperature is right now, let's say 70 or 80 degrees. And at this pressure, so the pressure that we're at with the atmospheric pressure that we're all sitting here breathing in, if you take propane and release that to atmosphere, propane it's a gas, so it'll just vapor off into the air. It's a gas. But if you take that propane and at this pressure, at this atmospheric pressure that we're at, that we're sitting here breathing, I don't know what it is, what pressure we're at this elevation. Who knows? It might be like 20 pounds. Are you getting ready to look it up or something?
What is the atmospheric pressure of Ponca City, Oklahoma right now? 30.01.
Okay. 30.0, okay.
INHG, whatever that means.
I could make up whatever the acronym is. But
INHOG.
So the propane right now, if we release it, if we open it up, it'll just gas off, right? Mm-hmm. But check this out. You take the same atmospheric pressure that we're at right now, and all you do is you take the temperature of propane and you cool it down to you could look it up, like a negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit. If you cool propane all the way down to there, keep the pressure the same, but cool it down to negative 350 degrees, for example, that propane turns into a liquid, and you could pour the propane out and it would flow.
Oh, interesting.
But then when you warm it up more towards zero and more towards us, then it gets to a gaseous state. Mm-hmm. You can do that with a lot of crap. And conversely, you take the propane and have it the same temperature where we're at, like, let's say 70 degrees. Mm-hmm. But then instead of it being 30 pounds of pressure or whatever you just read right there, take that propane and you squeeze it. You put more pressure on it. Mm-hmm. The more pressure that you do to it, let's say 200 or 300 pounds of pressure, that propane will turn into a liquid also. So you kept the temperature the same, but you actually increase the pressure, then it'll be able to flow.
Interesting.
And you can do that. You can do that with anything: gas, diesel, and then maybe your asphalt.
I did a similar deal too with a temperature pressure. So same temperature but different pressure with a can of Coke. I took it to 60 feet below sea level while I was scuba diving one time, and I opened that can of Coke and I stuck a straw in it, and I was drinking that Coke down at depth because the pressure held it in the can, same temperature and everything. Pretty cool stuff.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you hear about that, or is that something you came up with?
A friend of mine said he had done it before, so I was like, well, I got to try that.
But how did you pull your little thing out of your mouth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just like pulled it out and drank. I mean, after a while, the salt water kind of starts, if you don't hold it just right, the salt water starts kind of getting in there. But you could get through at least a half a can of Coke or so before it starts doing that.
And didn't give you the bends or whatever whenever you...
No. Well, I mean, obviously the number one rule of scuba diving is like, don't stop breathing. But, if you're at the same depth, you just got to take your breath, blow it out a little bit, sip your Coke, put your regulator back in, But anyways.
Yeah,
wow, dude, look at us. Science with James and Casey.
No shit. And still, man, I can only imagine the science nerds that...
I love how we're sitting here talking about it. We're like, don't quote me on this. I don't know the exact temperature, but I mean, concepts. It's bro science.
I still think we need to open with a disclaimer saying we're just like, what is it, the 80-20, ground beef, where 80% of it is, lean and 20% of it is fat. That's you and I's.
80% is lean and 20% mean. Yeah. So that was, I hope that answers your question. Note on Maui, a more serious note. A lot of people did lose a lot in that. I know we talked about it on the show that I did with On Grade, with Brandon and Colton of Certified Wrench. The people in Maui need help. If you want to donate, if you want to help, follow Truth Excavation, Chemo Clark. They're doing some good stuff. He's a good dude, Christian guy. He really cares. He's been fighting fires since day one. He lost everything but his equipment, and they were fighting fires every day while it happened, and they're helping rebuild. He got his whole team certified to be a search and recovery crew, so they're using their equipment and their operators. He did a lot of shit for free too, and he lost a lot of stuff, and so he has a GoFundMe. And that GoFundMe is not going to his pockets. That GoFundMe is going to cleaning up Maui, helping rebuild Lahaina, and it's just keeping his operations going because they won't get insurance checks for months. But it's just to help them be able to have enough money to continue their recovery processes. So I donated to it personally, just to let you know that it is safe and it is good, but. I don't know. We'll put a link in the show notes if you want to donate to that. It's a worthy cause. I'm sure any dollar helps them. But if you feel led to do that, then do that. It's good. Somebody else I wanted to shout out is Zach Taylor. He posted a deal the other day on Instagram talking about, since the beginning of the year, he's really started prioritizing, kind of getting back in shape and getting his own health and fitness in tune with where he wants to be. And dude, you're killing it, man. I just wanted to let you know that, brother. I just want to say that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you've been doing. I'm glad that I've got guys like you in my life to hold me accountable, and I'm glad that I can hold you accountable. And so it's cool that we have guys like that. We have several listeners like that. And that is what we're here for. Like seeing that motivates me even more to say, shit, man, if we can help even one person all the time, all the money we spend on doing dirty and driven stuff is worth it.
Yep. Keep in mind, people are always watching or, looking out. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome with Zach.
Yeah. Well, there's days where you go, damn, dude, is this even worth it? Is it even registering with people? And then you get messages like that. And I mean, it's to the point where I get messages like that almost daily of, people that, hey man, I'm finally at a spot where I want to do this, now, back to the dirty and driven triathlon thing. That's why I do these hard events, is just to bring attention to it, because I mean, if I just did easy stuff all the time, people probably wouldn't really watch or listen. But whenever you do extreme things like that, or like we did our 100,000 step challenge, or in a couple months I'm going to do the 4x4x48 run, I just want people to see that and pay attention and say, why is this guy doing this? This guy's insane. But although I am a little bit insane, not because of that stuff, just because I am just not all here, but it's because I want to bring attention to that stuff. I want you guys to see that, hey, I'm doing this hard shit because I want you to just take a little bit of initiative in your life. Because if you're unhappy, if you're unhealthy, I want you to feel good. And I'm not saying you have to do extreme stuff like I'm doing. All right. Doing these hard events, as I've said many times, is not necessarily healthy. It's pushing your mind and it's pushing your body to its limits, which I love doing. But I do it because I want you to just say, hey, James is out here doing a triathlon. I'm just going to go for, like, shout out to my boy Chad and Albert. You know, you guys went for just like a walk. Albert told me, he said, that'd be the Soldier of Dirt too on Instagram, track loader operator. You know, he's like, I'm going to do 5 miles. You know, Chad got up and he was walking in the dark. And Nebraska, the real Any Dirt Works is him. You know, just real dudes that are just out there doing this stuff. And it's cool to me to see that, you know, whether I inspired them to do that or not, it's just makes me happy that they decided to take initiative that day and do something. And that's all I'm asking of anybody, man, is just to do something small. I posted a big thing on Facebook that just said, I'm doing this to raise awareness because I have seen too many of my friends who don't know how to handle their mental health. And they like, dude, I've seen some fucked up stuff recently of guys that are the best freaking dudes you've ever met in your life. And they've gone home and you learn about their personal lives and things like they don't know how to handle their anger or they have no self-control and they go home and they abuse their wives.
Not good.
No. And I'm talking real life situations where I've learned that recently and it eats me up. And it comes down to your mental health. And, you know, best dudes you ever met during the day, but at night they got demons. And then I know a lot of people, man, that I love and respect, but now they're not even that old and they're living in and out of the hospital because they've got so many issues that, you know, really could have been prevented if they just took things into their own hands sooner. And even with those people, it's not too late to start doing that. You know, a lot of people get to that point too, where they're in and out of the hospital. They got diabetes, they got this, they got that. And it's like, oh, well, it's too late for me. Well, it's not too late for you. I want you to get better. I want you to be a killer. And I want you to prioritize these things. And I'm not saying you can't go eat your chili cheese conies. I'm not saying, you know, you can't knock some beers back. You know what I did yesterday after running that triathlon?
What?
I went to Rib Crib. First of all, I was at band practice and our drummer's wife said, hey, we're having a Mexican family gathering next door. Come eat some enchiladas. So I fucked up some enchiladas and then I went to Rib Crib and I messed up this giant cheeseburger. Like, okay, I had fun.
Hey, the Rib Crib has a really badass all beef chili cheese coney also.
I'm not getting that at the barbecue place. I like my barbecue too much.
Well, you can still get the other shit too. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, okay. Just add it on.
It's an option.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, you know, you can still do that. You can still have fun. I had a Guinness and a Yingling. You know, it was a good time. Like, but I just want people to just make those small.
Gotta start over.
What? I'm already done with that.
The 75 hard?
Yeah.
When did you finish it?
Last week. Tuesday.
Okay.
So, but it, you know, we do that just because I want you guys to be the best. Anyways, just small changes, you know.
Yeah, don't get overwhelmed. We've talked about it before. Don't get overwhelmed at the big picture. Just one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
On whatever you deal with, and don't stop moving. There's a time to sit back and relax, but there's always something to do. And the more you can get moving physically, or even get the old gears turning with your mental, reading, maybe doing puzzles, problem solving, keep your mind strong and keep your body going, man. Yeah. I've talked to you about it before, but I'm going to talk to you again. I've seen it, especially with older people. In my dad, for example, my dad was a go getter till one day he finally just stopped going, and I saw him deteriorate quicker than shit. And I've seen it with other older people too, to where when they retire, a lot of times they retire and they stop staying active and they stop using their mind like they did, and they go downhill, man. So Just please don't let that happen to you.
That's why I do it.
Yeah.
Because whenever you're 20, 30, 40, you're like, oh, dude, it doesn't fucking matter. I can eat what I want. I can do this. You know, I don't need to be one of them health nuts. You know, you mock it, but shit, man, over and over, repetitive, drinking every day, eating shit food, eating fast food every day, it makes you sick. And dude, this is what pisses me off. It's not the people, because the people have been misinformed. Okay? It is the fucking piece of shit society we live in. Call it the government, call it them, call it whatever you want. All right? We've all been lied to.
That celebrate Lizzo on magazine covers.
We've all been lied to about, like, oh, it's okay to be, 300 pounds overweight. Oh, it's okay to eat fast food every meal. It's good for you. It's okay to eat this. It's okay to eat that. The food we eat is fucking poisoned. The water we drink is fucking poisoned. Everything, dude. It is so hard to be healthy now that you really have to make a conscious decision to do it. Like, you look at pictures of people in the 70s, look at a picture of people at the beach. Dude, hardly anybody's overweight because the food back then was real food.
Oh yeah, you can even go back to the black and white picture days and see everybody just slim, trim, looking good, no fat bastards at all, man.
Yeah, dude, and it's because society has changed and shifted, corporatism, fast food becoming the norm, and the government letting you put all these additives and just fertilizers and pesticides and so much stuff in your food that just kills you.
Let me speak a language to probably the majority of our listeners. I'm guessing. I'm not the sign of peak fitness whatsoever. I eat whatever the hell I want, and I have drinks pretty much every night whenever I get a chance. That's my wind down. That's my vice.
He's a Boone's Farm wine kind of guy.
It is what it is. It's Franzia box wine.
Oh, okay. Same playing field.
Sunset Blush. Drink that shit like no other. But with that disclaimer that I'm not Mr. Peak Fitness, but I'm in pretty damn good shape, and my pretty damn good shape is attributed to busting a sweat every day, moving, physical labor. There's always something to do. I can only imagine if I zoned in and got my diet right? I mean,
dude, you would be an animal
if I got my diet right. But what I'm getting at is look at just where, and I'm not bragging on myself, but I kind of am. I'm 47 years old, but look where I'm at just by being active. If I put the diet together, yeah, I can only imagine. But this just goes to show if you do one of the two things, at least physically, for your body wise, I'm not talking about mentally. If you just do one of the two, now granted, diet is pretty much the ultimate thing. Dude, let's do the converse of that. Let's say you really weren't hardly active at all, but you ate super clean. You'd probably be lean, mean, and looking good.
Yeah.
But so, one, you could be super active and not have a good diet, or you could have a good diet, not be super active, and still have some pretty badass results.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even one or the other. And that's what I'm saying. One or the other. It's like, but the average American, I mean, even just look at an equipment operator, dude. They still say, well, I'm working, I'm sweating, I'm doing, and you are, but like, in a piece of equipment, like, yeah, it's physically hard. I mean, it tasks your body, but either way, you're for the most part, you're sitting, right?
Yeah.
And even though it is jostling you around and jerking you around, but you're still sitting. You got to move.
To interrupt that, man, I've only been in a few pieces of equipment like that, and there's no shocks in it whatsoever. So everything you do is just a rigid jolt to your damn body, man. So that's got to be tough on those guys' bodies.
Well, it is, and that's where you have to kind of train your body, build those muscles up, so it's not. I mean, you talk to guys who've been running heavy equipment for a long, long time. I mean, most of them will say, yeah, dude, my back is fucked from sitting. Just like if you talk to somebody who's worked in an office for a lot of their life, just that sitting motion really is hard on your back.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. We've been put into positions where a lot of people are stagnant in their work. They don't move a lot. They don't walk. They don't get up other than a water break or bathroom break. And they eat a lot of shitty foods. They're not eating good nutrients. They're not getting enough protein in their diet, and it just fattens you up.
You got to be careful.
And that's whenever those are the people that, it doesn't really matter to them in their 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s. But dude, it's like, whenever they start hitting 60, it's holy shit, diabetes, cancer, all sorts of just bad stuff.
Don't be like old Wilford Brimley. I got diabetes. Be careful with them sitting down jobs too. You sit down too long, you get a case of the flat ass.
Yeah.
So you got to be sure to get up and at least do some squats or lunges or something to get the old glutes firing again. Get the old hamstrings all tied into the glutes.
Yeah. It's like, and I'll brag on my mom here and then I'll kind of be done.
What was it? The glutes and stuff made you think about your mom? Hey, that's a great transition.
No.
Speaking of my mom.
Well, one thing my mom's passionate about is, she's always telling me, because my mom's
easy. Don't say it.
Mid-50s.
Don't. Okay.
And she's like, she goes, one thing I'm proud of is, she goes, whenever my parents were my age, she said they couldn't do anything. She goes, my dad was in a wheelchair. My mom could barely get around. And she's like, she goes, the stuff that you and I do, they would have never been able to do this. And she goes, I want to stay in good enough shape to be able to do this. And then whenever you have kids, I want to be able to do this stuff with my grandkids.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of my mom for that. Like yesterday at the triathlon, she followed me on a paddleboard while I swam a mile or just under a mile. And then she not only rode the 25 miles on the bike with me, she absolutely smoked me. I mean, that's kind of her bread and butter is biking, but, she'd get like half a mile ahead of me and have to turn around and circle back. But
you're already kind of pre-exhausted too, dude.
Yeah. But either way,
I know
it's that's what she does though. I mean, I hardly ever ride a bike and she does it every day, but she is in good shape, and it's, she's not, for a while she was real picky and stuff like that, but it's pretty average. She enjoys, life and stuff, and has her drinks and eats some stuff here and there, but it's like she's in good shape, and she will be for a while. I mean, she will be whenever I'm confident that whenever I have grandkids or whenever I have kids and her grandkids, she will be able to keep up with them, which is awesome. So that's kind of what it's all about, man. It's just staying that way, so that way you're not a liability on everybody else. And because I want people to enjoy their lives, we work so much. We work so many hours every day. And if you're working 12, 14, 16-hour shifts all the time, everybody says, man, I'm just trying to get ahead, just trying to get the bills paid, trying to buy a boat. I'm trying to, I'm working to make all this money so my kids can have a better life. That's great, man. But if you do not have the energy, the willpower, the stamina to spend your time with your kids whenever you're off work, they don't give a shit how much money you make.
Yep.
So
that's right there. That's the old find your why.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you want to get your health in check? I mean, obviously, hopefully you want to do it for yourself first, but if not, do it for your loved ones.
Right. Another thing I just want to touch on too, man. A lot of people have been sending the Dirty and Driven Instagram that Oliver Anthony music, Richmond, north of Richmond. And a common theme is, dude, this is the shit that we talk about on job sites. His lyrics, his authenticity, everything about that guy is just so cool, man. I really love listening to that song. And people are right, man. That's what we talk about on job sites is, yeah, man, I'm working for $1, but my dollar ain't worth a shit. Everything's fucked up in this world, and it's because we have greedy people in office. It's kind of the whole premise of that song. And I agree, man. I believe that where this all ties into, getting yourself in check and just prioritizing yourself and getting yourself better is because those people, they don't give a shit about you, man. They give a shit about their pocketbooks. All right. They're corporate bought politicians. That's all they want is money. Okay. But you know how you combat that? You say, fuck the system. And you go out and you live. What they do is they feed you shit food so that way you get sick, and then you have to rely on their drugs, their pharmaceutical drugs, which they all own heavy stocks in, and then it's just a revolving door. You're in and out of the medical system, and they want you reliant on that. They want you mentally fucked up, so you're reliant on the therapy system and you're reliant on SSRI drugs, which I'm not dissing those at all. Some people need those, man, and if you need that stuff, then please use it. But they want you reliant on their system that they have so much stock and money in. But you know how you say screw you? You go after their pocketbooks. And how do you go after their pocketbooks? One, you vote with your dollar. You spend money where you know it's who it's going to, and you know the type of companies it's going to, and they don't have their little fingers in there, okay? And you spend money that way, and then you just get yourself in check to where you're not relying on their pills, and you're not relying on their shitty food, and you're not relying on all that stuff, man. And you're staying out of all that. You go after, Andy Frisella says it best, and that's personal excellence is the wow, I just totally butchered that. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion.
Yeah.
And that's true, man. And it's not easy to do. Personal excellence. And to be excellent at anything is hard. And to be excellent at just being a good person is hard. But it's worth it. And if you want to see change.
That's not hard to be a good person.
It's not hard to be a good person, no.
Just understand if you're being a dick or if you're being an asshole coming off an asshole to somebody, then get your shit in check. Hopefully somebody will call you out too.
Yeah. But become an excellent person. Go for personal excellence, and that's how you say fuck the system. They want you to be a weak piece of shit, little drone sheep. I mean, you look at all the COVID stuff that happened. You look at everything that's happened in this world recently.
And be prepared because they're coming out with the new COVID shit again. They're already starting the old mask mandates.
So, yeah, and you got to reject that stuff, man. But they just want to see how far they could push it. They take everything away from you. You know, most people say, I don't want to deal with people. I'm just going to wear it because I'm tired of people yelling. I'm tired. Dude, that's what they did, man. And they take everything away and then they just trickle it back to you one little piece at a time. You know, it'll all be better if you just do this. It'll all be better if you just do that.
What they do is they take a bunch away from you. Take. Then they give back maybe 50 or 75% of what they took to make it look like they're doing something good.
Yeah.
But now they're already 25% ahead, and then they'll do the same scenario over and over.
Yeah, and that was the point I was trying to make. That was good.
Thank you.
So
I figured I could jump in during just a little piece of your rant.
Yeah, I'll give you
just a little piece.
Just a little bit.
Damn.
Just the tip.
You gave me just a crumb.
A crumb.
All right.
Well, I was gonna, usually I give you 100%, but I figured I'd give you just like 25%. I
can take it.
Just go after, go after that, man. Just become the best version of you can be, because guess what? The smallest form of government is your family, your household. And if you are a little bit better, and I saw this during the COVID stuff because I didn't stand for a lot of this stuff. I didn't wear masks. I didn't do any of that crap. Whenever you take a stand, because everybody's so afraid, these rich men north of Richmond, they want you to be a little freaking sheep and who will do what they say at all times. Okay. And you have to stand up and you have to be a leader. And that's what this podcast is all about, being a leader from wherever you're at. And you say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out. I'm going to train myself. I'm going to become better. And you will inspire somebody else. If you go and you get in shape, you might get a little pushback, oh man, why aren't you drinking as much anymore? Oh, dude, you can eat a fucking cheeseburger. It's okay. Oh, you can do this. Oh, you can do that. But you'll get pushback. But man, you break out of that cycle and you start getting real results and you start showing that like, hey man, I'm better than this shitty system they want us to live in. Then your buddies are going to start coming to you and saying, hey, how'd you do that? You're going to be an example for your kids. You're going to be an example for your spouses. You're just going to be a better example. And if you step up and create better people or a better version of yourself, you're going to create better people in this world. And then those people become better versions of themselves and the cycle continues.
I want to surround myself with people like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, same.
We mentioned it before, but look at your circle of friends or the people you surround yourself with. If you've got bad apples or people that aren't going to help you get to where you want to be, you might need to do the old stiff arm to them.
Yeah. And that's why we're talking about this, man. I mean,
that's why. So everything that you just said, I'd rather associate myself with people like you, right?
Yeah.
Compared to the people who aren't like you.
Yeah. I 100% agree, man.
Contagious, then it's just contagious. Hopefully you get a little bit of the rub and
And some people aren't going to like this. It's kind of like I posted that yesterday. I said, I'm doing this because, and I put on my Facebook post, I do this because there's people that I love and care about that because of poor decisions over time, man. It's all over time. It's not one bad decision. It's poor decisions every single day for years that end them up in bad spots. And literally one person commented on my on the Facebook post of that whole thing. They said, I'm kind of offended by this, but good job. But dude, that's the point. Like you shouldn't be offended by it. You should look and say, fuck, I'm the person he's talking about, which I wasn't talking about anybody in particularly, but you should look at that and say, well, crap, I'm kind of in that boat right now. I'm heavy smoker. I don't care about what I eat. I drink every day. I do, name your vice. And that's whenever you got to look and say, shit, that is going to catch up to me eventually.
Yeah, and people in those unfortunate situations like that, I guarantee you, hindsight, if they would just 10 years before they got in that certain situation, it's not like they chose to be a drug addict or morbidly obese. It's just, like you said, just small little zigs when they should have zagged got them in that situation, man.
Yeah, sometimes you got to zig instead of zag, and sometimes you got to zag instead of zig.
And that Anthony Oliver guy, is that his name?
Yeah.
They said it right before this song hit that he was in deep depression. I think he was some type of, I could be wrong, a chemical, some type of abuser of substance, and he had turned himself around. I think he might have found the higher power, but he released this song in his backyard or something. And now this goes to show you never know when your big break or the opportunity around the corner is going to happen, because he literally just put this song out just to put it out. He had no money or nothing. And now he's got all these big corporate people offering him multi-million-dollar contracts, and he's turning everything down because he's standing for, everything that he's singing about in his song. Yeah,
dude. And that's what's cool, man, is Oliver Anthony, not Anthony Oliver.
Well, it's a guy with two first names.
Yeah. But, yeah, dude. And I respect him too. Like, they came to him and offered him millions of dollars and jet and tour buses and all sorts of stuff. And he's like, no.
I think he was playing a dobro, that guitar.
Oh, yeah. That's a sweet guitar. I'd like to have one of those.
They call them resonators. I'd still love to have one, man.
Dude, I played one at Guitar Center a couple months ago. Sweet.
Should have pulled the trigger, man. Have it for the studio.
Dude, I look at that stuff. If I had an unlimited budget to buy instruments, I would have way more but I kind of just have to look and say, okay, here's the ones I play a lot. Here's actually what I would use. Like, I pulled the trigger and bought an expensive bass. That was my last instrument I bought. And it's a freaking sweet bass, but I play it every day, so it's just worth it. And I play it on stage and it's awesome. But something like that, I probably wouldn't play it as much as I would need to make it worth buying.
Yeah. I still need to get me a baritone guitar though.
One of these days, right? Once we make it in the podcasting and riches. Speaking of podcasting and riches, guys, just want to say, you can donate to the Dirty and Driven podcast if you like the show. Tip in the tip jar. You can click the Linktree link down in the bio. It'll say donate here. Click here, and it will take you to the just our social media pages, YouTube, which we're about to start kicking off and firing up. Leave a tip in the tip jar. Right now, we don't run any ads on the show. We haven't ran any ads for the show. Never saying we won't do either of those things. But, if you like the show, put $1 in the tip jar, put $2 in the tip jar, put $5 in. Some of you are amazing and have given us $50, $20, and we appreciate any contribution. Even $1. It just helps us grow and get better. We've spent a lot of money on this show, so it just kind of helps us it motivates us to keep going, if we get, a little something in return, especially if you get value out of it. But if you don't want to do that, you can support us through giving us a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify. That also helps the show grow a lot. And just keep sharing the show with your friends and everything like that, especially if you get value out of it. We've dropped some good value so far in this episode, so don't be afraid to share it and speak out, because it's what matters. You said something else too, Casey, that made me kind of want to go on a little rant. Also, not a rant, but just
another rant,
just a point I want to make. So, like, I keep hearing about like this new form of COVID or the next pandemic kind of thing. The only thing I've seen, and I follow all ends of the spectrum on social media, the only people I've seen talking about this shit are like the right-wing people. I have not seen a news outlet really talk about it much. I don't watch the news a whole lot, but I haven't seen that brought up too much there. So like a lot of the people talking about it are the people who are against it, but you're bringing a lot of light to an issue that as of right now is not a big issue.
We got an election coming up. Be prepared.
Yeah.
There's going to be some fuckery going on, and this is part of the fuckery.
You have to stand up against the fuckery, but like as of right now, I feel like they are actually trolling those people to bring light to the situation for no reason.
But why are some colleges and stuff right now mandating masking again?
Well, and if they are, then yeah, you should be speaking up.
Yeah, so,
and I guess I didn't know that they were doing that.
Yeah, it's dude, it's happening.
Yeah,
it's happening. Yeah. It's a different form, but it's going to be the same deal to require mail-in ballots and then pallets full of ballots at 3 a.m. It's coming.
And you know, dude, you have to. This is where you have to get your mental health in check too. I mean, this is what we're talking about. If the last few years have been mentally tasking on everybody. They're just through the news and social media and all that, dude. It's just been mentally hard to deal with. And if you don't have your mental self in check, especially coming up on another election year, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, it's this election coming up, the 2024. I don't know, man. There's going to be some crazy stuff that's going to try to be pulled, man.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, I know that we typically don't delve into politics and stuff like that, but I hope you enjoyed it. I know Casey did.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I guess 51 minutes in, we got time to still hit on the topic we were going to do. This podcast
do we?
definitely.
Or are we going to... I think that was a pretty good topic, actually.
Okay. You don't want to dive into...
Nah.
Okay. What do you want to talk about now, then? Oh, yeah, dude. I
wrote it down.
One more plug. One more plug I do want to do before we get into that. Casey wrote on a notepad and told me to ask him about it. But one more plug I do want to say. We are getting cameras in. They're coming in soon. Once we get everything set up and figured out, we are going to sit at a bar at some point in the near future. Once we can just kind of iron out whenever Casey and I's schedules align to do this. And we're going to do a call-in episode. And I suspect that call-in episode will probably be a pretty high-performing episode. So if you want, this should be funny, it should be lighthearted, it should be cool. So for one, just start thinking of any questions or advice or anything else that you might want to talk to Casey and I about on this call-in episode. It can even be the dumbest shit. So keep that in mind. Also, if you want to be a sponsor for that show, we are looking for, I don't know, probably I'd say 1 to 3 sponsors to just kind of sponsor the show, help us gain a little bit of money for some other projects that we're trying to fund right now. Be a good time to advertise. Should get a good amount of listeners, and it should just be a fun time. So
we're going to try to do that on Instagram Live.
Well, it depends on the Wi-Fi of the bar, but that is something. Once we get our cameras set up and rolling, our tentative plan is we're probably going to just start YouTube living our podcasts. So keep that on your radar for the next coming weeks. That we'll probably start doing that. We'll probably start.
But I'd ask Instagram Live.
I'll probably do YouTube Live. I mean, I'm not saying we won't. I mean,
we'll discuss Instagram that lives off air.
But yeah, we'll probably do the shows on YouTube Live just so that way they'll automatically upload to YouTube after we're done. So, anyways.
Oh, and one last deal. Shout out to Aria Morgan with Plateau Excavation.
Yeah.
She was on our last Friday podcast. Fortunately, I got to sit in and do the old co-host deal with it. And man, what good things that she's doing and that company is doing, that is just a massive kick-ass company in the Southeast.
Yeah.
I was going to mention to her that what they thought about, since she's in Georgia, what they thought about the Oklahoma Sooners going over to the Southeast Conference.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Georgia football is like religion.
Bulldogs.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it's smart. I think it comes down to money.
Yeah.
And,
what do you think about the new Big 12?
Haven't really followed it too much.
I haven't either.
Unfortunately.
I know Arizona State, Oklahoma State is like a match made in hell. Those are like two big party schools. Anyways, cool.
But
yeah. I haven't really followed football the last couple of years. Ever since I got out of college, I just haven't really given a shit.
dude, I used to be hardcore, and
I don't like the way that players can just like transfer mid-semester.
dude, that's one thing that I don't like in general was, dude, back in the 80s, here I'm talking, which I was only, 10, 12, 14, somewhere around there. Whenever you would watch this, like the NBA, the Boston Celtics or the Lakers, you knew who was on that team for 5, 10, 15 years. They'd be on the same team.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
But, nowadays, if you have a professional team or even a college team, you can't just, when you start to buy into somebody and like them, they're transferring or they're being traded. And
Yeah. Just keep talking.
dude, what was that word? What was that word? I was, tried to talk about the other day when you know that a camera's in your face.
Consent.
Well, I am above 18 years old. So
Yeah. So anyways, all right. Tell me about your gas station sewer story.
All right. Well, back in the day when I first started getting into maintenance and stuff, there was this one gas station that I worked for, and hey, if y'all need anything, if anything ever pops up, let me know. I could probably help troubleshoot it, or I can at least get you with the right person. So they called and they let me know that their restroom, the toilet or the sink wasn't draining very well. So I was like, okay, well, it sounds like a vent issue. Now, am I a plumber? No, but I could still at least help troubleshoot it. So I went and I looked, and sure enough, stuff was kind of backing up. The toilet really wasn't flushing, and the water wasn't going down the sink very well. So I was like, dude, I do know at times whenever you snake certain lines that you can go in via the vent on the roof, the sewer vent. So I put my ladder up and looked through the sewer vent, tried to get a snake down, and the snake that I put in just wouldn't quite work. I was like, shit, dude, that clog's down there somewhere. I had a buddy with me, my buddy Brandon, and I was like, dude, we need to, the only thing I could think of is let's go through this vent through the top and somehow get whatever's clogged unclogged, so that way everything drains. All right. And I said, all right, dude, if you would, you go down into the bathroom, and the way I thought to unclog it was, dude, get a blower, like a gas blower, that you leaf blower.
Oh yeah.
And take it up top, and pretty much it was like a 3 or 4 inch vent. Take that blower and go in and seal off the vent, and then make that blower rock and roll and blow down through there and, unclog that thing.
Okay.
Great idea in theory, right? Okay.
Great on paper. Yeah.
Yes. So he goes down, I said, all right, hey, make sure, nobody's in the bathroom and stuff. And actually, no, I didn't say make sure no one's in the bathroom. So I go up there. And I take that blower and I get a pretty good seal around it, and I'm just rock and rolling. I'm just putting the old meat to it, the old coals to the blower, blowing through that vent. Man, I give it some just good gas too. I probably did it for 30 seconds. Well, about that time, my buddy Brandon had just went in, and he came running outside doing the old cut out, dude, stop. And I'm like, dude, what's up? He goes, dude, his eyes are bigger than shit. So I went down, we went into the bathroom, and all the water was out of the toilet, and it had hit the ceiling. Literally, that's how much pressure that it hit the blockage, and the water had nowhere to go. So it shot it straight up into the ceiling and got all over the damn bathroom. And I was like, holy shit. Fortunately, nobody saw it and nobody was in there. And I could imagine.
Was it just toilet water or was it shit?
Well, it was a little bit of everything, right? But I could only imagine if somebody was inside of the restroom whenever I blew that. So that was one of those deals. You try to do a good task and you end up fucking failing.
It unclogged it though.
Yeah, actually, I think it might have unclogged, but word to the wise: don't do a blower via the vent down because you'll have a big ass mess.
That's so nasty, dude. Just a poop volcano flying up in the gas station poops, nonetheless, dude. Because you only poop at a gas station if it's your last resort.
It was the. All right, James. It was the gas station, the Valero there over on right across from Quality Pools.
Oh yeah.
It was that one. I can still just imagine someone sitting on the shitter whenever I pulled the trigger on that thing. What the fuck? Boom! Dude, I'd just get the load up the ladder and everything. Just got the hell out of there, man.
No, that's nasty, dude. Yeah, dude, because I mean, gas station poop is like, if I'm pooping in a gas station, it's like, it's bad. I mean, it's like, I've got to go.
Yeah.
You probably stop that, yeah. Dude. What? I know I asked you this, like, the OG episode you came on, but I don't know that you ever gave me an actual answer. But now that you've had several months to think about it, what would you say your dirtiest job you've ever had is?
Damn it, I had it one. Not that the dirtiest, but I remember that just kind of obviously anything to do with poo, but I do remember like the kind of shittiest, nastiest was whenever I was roofing and we would tear off shingled roofs.
Oh yeah.
These are cedar shakes and a lot of them, were probably 20 or 30 years, 40 years old, to where it had years and years and years of not only the cedar shakes degrading and kind of breaking down that are on the roof, but then all the dust from just years of wind-blown dust that are underneath the shakes. So then whenever you tear off cedar shake roofs, you could have your pitchfork. We had a couple special tools that we do it. Well, we would try to use the felt paper and kind of roll up the cedar shakes, but when it's hot and nasty out like it is right now and you're sweating balls and you're tearing that stuff off, all the dust and all that has accumulated over the years and crap would just get light and fly in the air, and it just get all in your pores and crap, and it'd just be super duper shitty. I mean, now dirtiest, shittiest job, I don't know, but I just remember that sucking.
You don't have one specific instance where you were just like, ugh.
No, because I honestly, I look at the shittier the job is, a lot of times the more money is made.
Well, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't look at, like whenever I had to get that raccoon.
Oh, that dead raccoon.
Yeah, that raccoon was pretty bad just because I knew that I was going into a confined space in a crawl space underneath the house.
Yeah.
And I didn't have on, the best type of face mask, respirator to help. So, there was this rotting raccoon underneath the house with maggots. I got video of the maggots crawling around in its eyeballs. And that was pretty tough because, if you got in a bad situation underneath the house, it's not like you can get up and run away. You've got to crawl back. You got to, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
And another deal that I didn't like too was I used to work at Big Ed's Hamburger down in Norman when I went to OU. And that was a deal. I told you that it takes 4 months to be able to run the grill. And when they realized I wasn't a dumbass, within 2 days of being hired, they had me running the grill like during rush hour.
Tell me that, yeah.
And kudos to the cooks out there that, like the Waffle House cooks that are on the old flat grills and stuff.
Yeah.
But dude, that stuff, when you're running grills like that, all the grease and crap, it gets in your pores and in your system, and not only your clothes, but I mean, you sweat that crap. It's just, blech.
Dude, yeah, fast food smell. I wouldn't say I dated this girl, but in high school, kind of a girl that I was
Easy.
kind of dating. She worked at a pizza place, and it was that same thing. Like sometimes I'd pick her up from work, and it was just like, God,
Yeah.
that pizza smells bad, and especially if like sometimes she'd try to like kind of spritz on some perfume or something, and it was just like pizza perfume. It's just like, ugh, this is not a good combo.
And to people out there, keep that mentality too. The shittier the job is, like if you're talking poo or any type of nastiness, normally you can get premium money. And if the customer, dude, you can justify it easy with the customer. Like, hey, well, you're more than welcome to go. I mean, why is it this price? Price increases with the shittiness of it.
Yeah, and the shittiest jobs I've had to deal with like actual human shit. Unfortunately, I owned the rent houses, so no money in that.
Yeah.
If you own the rent house,
Yeah.
or if you own the building, then you're just dealing with shit, But in turn, you don't have to pay another guy. Like I can think of you and mine's romantic Valentine's Day, where we were unclogging a sewer line in one of my houses where it backed up into the bathtub.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing better when the sewer line backs up and you see like little turds and
yeah, it's gross.
The toilet paper and all that kind of floaty up.
Yeah, it's a bad time. That's a bad time. But yeah, man.
Well, and where I was spraying for the wastewater department, this is the sewer waste area. And the other day, when I cramped up real bad.
Yeah.
Well, depending on where the wind is, which the wind, during the summer is predominantly out of the south.
Yeah.
So when I was on the north side of these pretty much retention ponds, that old wind blowing across these ponds that are treating the sewage water.
Yeah.
You talking about
tasty.
Oh, yeah. That's some good stuff.
Dude, you know what one smell that I can't stand is, which is kind of ironic, but dude, just the smell of a porta potty. Like the chemical, it's just...
It's a very distinct smell.
It is. Like yesterday, whenever I was doing the triathlon, obviously out at the lake, there's no running water, so a lot of people have porta potties. So you're running, and like while you're running or while you're riding a bike and you smell that whiff, it's, and even like a freshly cleaned one, it's just like that chemical smell is just, it's a nasty smell. And I mean, then if it's full, it's really bad. But yeah, it's a tough. Oh, dude, I clean or dirty porta potties. I use them. I mean, I'm not afraid to use a porta potty. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I'm not going to go in a porta potty. But it's disgusting.
Yeah, you just got to worry about splashback. A lot of times I would take a lot of toilet paper and try to put it down there on top of the old poo mound.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I'd kind of drop a bunch there. That way it's kind of a nice floaty deal to hopefully the splashback don't hit you.
Oh, yeah, dude. Well, or like a freshly cleaned one. You go in there and it's just like plops and then turns your whole ass blue.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It gets up and
yeah.
Then you hopefully clench up before the old splashback gets up in there.
Well, then there's the good prank of if your buddy's in the porta potty, you take a nice big rock and you drop it down the vent stack. Mm-hmm. And you splash them that way.
Never heard of that. That's a good trick.
Yeah. Dude, I remember the first time the first porta potty prank pulled on me was just it was right by a gravel road, so guys were just picking up rocks and like by the handful and throwing them. Dude, I thought I was being shot at or something.
Yeah, and then if you're trying to poo, you can't concentrate on pooing because you're constantly hearing rocks hitting the...
Well, or you're just afraid to walk out because you're like, am I going to open it right as they throw a rock and just get decked in the face?
But you're talking earlier on a separate deal about people might think that you're crazy doing what you do. And that reminded me of a Waylon Jennings song. And I can't remember what the title of it is, but he goes, I've always been crazy, but it keeps me from going insane.
Oh, yeah. I know what song you're
talking about. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a cool little, hey, if whatever you're working at or whatever it is, if it keeps you from going insane, do it.
Yeah. And for the sake of your mental health, man, even if it's not working out, find something you like. I mean, find something that's good, enjoyable, uses your hands. They say that And we'll kind of wrap up on this point. We're at hour 10 minutes.
And I can wrap up.
Yeah.
I got something too.
You got something cool? Okay. So they say that if you work a job of labor, then you should do something of your mind to rest. And if you work a job with your mind, then you should do something of labor to rest. That's kind of why I do this. I mean, obviously I'm a project manager, estimator in my day job. And so I do some of this harder stuff, physically to kind of push my mind and my body. I probably wouldn't do quite the events I did if I was still working on the road crew every day. I still exercised and did all that whenever I was on the road crew, but find something that you like. Some guys, I know it's, woodworking, or it's, cooking, baking, things like that. Sometimes it's doing, endurance events. Those are great for endurance events are for your mind more than your body. If you want to get in shape, if you want to get fit, if you want to lose weight, lifting weights is really the best way to do that. Do your research on that. Hit me up if you have questions on it. But as far as just overall, if you're doing endurance events, it's for your mind. But find something you like, man. Some sort of hobby. Don't just go home and watch TV. That's not a good hobby. That just keeps you in your head. I mean, not saying there's anything wrong with watching TV, but try to limit it and just find something that really engages your brain or does something fun. I mean, find something fun and enjoyable to do. That'll help you enjoy life better. That'll give you something that if you're not working, then, it gives you something to do other than drinking. Because a lot of people, if they're not working, they're drinking. I mean, honestly. So, and I was like that for a while too. I mean, it'd be like every Saturday. It was like at 11 a.m. I was cracking a beer and
hell yeah,
drinking all day.
Especially with football season coming up.
Yeah.
You god dang right I'm going to be.
But find you a good hobby, Find you something fun.
Find you a hobby that you can do while drinking.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you can. I mean, like if you're woodworking, if you're doing fun stuff, like I know a guy, he's a concrete plant manager, and he drives some of the trucks and he does, he's always busy, but he's a master woodworker. I have one of his tables in one of my rent houses, and I mean, he just builds some really beautiful stuff, but that's his release,
Yep.
So find a release, because if you don't have a release, you are going to release it in unhealthy ways. If you don't have a release, you're going to take it out on your wife or kids or dog or cat or whatever. So just find you that release.
And it'll be nice if you can leave work at work. There's supervisors and stuff that make damn good money, but they can't leave work at work. When they go home, they still have to answer their phone and still do work. But if you can leave work at work, that's good. And I've been listening to I like the old professional wrestlers, and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan have been making their rounds on podcasts lately, just all over.
I've seen that.
And dude, I love it because, that's what I grew up on, man. That I don't know about heroes, but dude, I mean, it's good hearing the stories from back in the day. But Hulk Hogan was on Rogan's podcast the other day, and he talked about what still helps him to this day when he starts to not pop off, but when he starts to maybe have bad thoughts or bad vibes. He's got an in-house gym. You don't need a gym, but he has an in-house gym to where, like you said, he'll go bang out some reps and stuff when you're starting to feel that, and that'll be his release from taking it out on his soon-to-be wife, or I think it is his third wife now. But, if you can find those little releases or escapes, man, to help deal with certain things, instead of kicking the dog or pushing the spouse around, take those avenues.
Yeah, I actually had that situation a couple weeks ago. I was in a real bad, dude. Sometimes I go through like mental slumps where like a week at a time, I just am in a bad way. I still train, I still do my stuff, but like there was one day that was really bad. It was just piling on. I think, I think even like Victoria and I kind of got into it a little bit, and it was just like even worse. It was like bad at work, bad at home, in a bad spot. And then it was like I came home and my dog chewed something up. She chewed up one of my favorite hats. And I was pissed, dude. And it was just like, and I was like, I'm just gonna go run. I'm gonna, or I think I went and walked. I was like, I'm just gonna go walk. I'm just gonna walk. That's it. I'm just, I was so close to just like, I was like, I should punish her for eating my hat. Yes, but I'm just going to let this one go and walk away. Otherwise, I'm going to be just a fucking monster.
Yeah, unless you catch that dog in the act, it wouldn't
No.
It wouldn't know.
Well, she knows she did wrong. I mean, if she chews something up and I come home, she just looks so sad.
Yeah.
Like, I've learned that ignoring her actually is better than doing that because she does it for attention.
Are you telling me you're pulling reverse psychology on your dog?
I am.
Damn. That's some deep shit right there.
Yep. She doesn't chew much up, though. She's a really pretty good dog. Best dog I've ever had.
Well, if you get in those situations like that, for one, I've never gotten a phone call from you or a text. But seriously,
Yeah.
if you reach out, man.
Yeah.
Or if not me, somebody. That's why I've mentioned before with anybody listening that sometimes it's good to be able to talk with your spouse or your significant other, but sometimes if you had somebody else to lean on about certain situations, dude, reach out to them.
Yeah. It's definitely good to have other people. And, like, but guys need to learn how to talk to their wives, too. I think that's such a easy person to talk to.
Of course, they should be your best friend.
Yeah, and a lot of guys don't know how to do that, and it's bad. It's really bad, and they don't know how to express their thoughts and I don't always know how to express my thoughts and feelings to my wife. I mean, there's times where I just don't feel good. I'm mentally, I am not there, and I don't know how to talk to my wife about that. I tell her, like, hey, I'm just not all here right now. Cut me some slack, but there's only so long she can cut you some slack before she's like, hey, I kind of need a husband, Like, you can't continue to do this, it goes both ways. And that's where it's good to have somebody else, because at some point they're going to lose patience or whatever. But
I'll set up, I'll rent some space here on Grand, and it'll just be like a confessional business. It'll just be a confessional, like you're going to church, but you can come in and talk to me. James, is that you?
You're going to be on the other side like, dude.
Are you fucking kidding me? Get it together, James.
I saw a meme the other day, and it was like, I'm going to go to the confessional booth and ask the priest what he's done.
You don't want to know.
You don't want to know.
Hypocrite.
So what was your wrap up?
Oh, that was my wrap up. I just want to touch about, like, Hulk Hogan, one of his releases is, when he starts the same as you going out and walking and stuff, just find you something to get away from the situation. Yeah. Oh, and another deal too is, I have found taking a break from, I follow a lot of political crap. Dude,
you got to get breaks from that.
You got to take breaks from that because you can get so consumed with the BS that's going on, man. Step away from that crap too. You'll have some clarity in your life.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like talking politics on the show too much, is because that stuff is so overwhelming. And if you follow it, if you listen to it, if you see it on the news, if you just keep, and then now all of a sudden your favorite people are talking about it, it's so easy to just go with it. But it's not reality. I mean, you hear about all this crazy political shit and all this stuff going on, but then it's like you walk down Main Street and it's like, oh,
that's the deal.
It's not.
Where's all the racism? I don't see. Granted, I don't see any racism where I've been. I don't see it. But boy, you somehow you're being told that there is.
Yeah, I mean, you just see a lot of this stuff, and you're like, this isn't really that prevalent. Why are we giving so much light to it on media?
My only deal with talking about politics is I just want people to be aware of don't believe everything you're being spoon-fed by certain outlets.
On both sides.
Yeah, and that's why I said certain outlets. Yeah. I had a broad umbrella right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just want to clarify that point.
Well, dude, it is both sides, man.
Any information you hear, you should analyze. You should look at it. Whether it be your favorite guy that's so, you should stand up against this, and you should really do your homework on those people, research everything they're saying, because one, they're human just like me and you. So even us, if you're listening to us, do your own shit, man. Come to your own opinions and thoughts. We've said things that people have messaged me and said, hey, I don't agree with you. And you know what? Great. You shouldn't agree with everything that we say.
Well, and also if someone's coming out with a certain agenda, always follow it back to money. Why are they saying this? What monetary advantage will they get from saying this? And then see why.
And we have no monetary advantage of anything we say.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, dude. We said we were going to wrap up, so it's probably time to.
No. Hey, James, let's go ahead and wrap up.
Okay.
I want it coming from me for once.
Casey, got any final thoughts, man?
By God.
Do something hard today.